Good morning. It is Thursday, December 3rd, and I've got people building a deck outside. So they're really close to being done. It's looking really awesome. I actually went out there this morning and watched the sunrise on it. And it's loud, so bear with me. This morning I had some interesting dreams. My nose itches. And the one that stands out, the details of it are cloudy, but it was almost like I was revisiting memories from my childhood. The memories themselves aren't clear right now, but I remember that they were just like little montages of events from when I was younger. And then after each one, it was like I had like a spirit guide pull me aside. It was a man's voice. It was a really happy, like warm, cheerful voice. It sounded honestly like it felt like Kahn, which is a spiritual teacher I listen to quite a bit and watch quite a bit. I haven't in a month or two, but at any rate, he kept saying, "Now, you see how this isn't your fault? Do you see how this isn't your fault?" And it was like we went through hundreds of different memories, and after each one, he would say that again. You see how this isn't your fault? And it became funnier and funnier and funnier, and we would just laugh while he was saying it. It's just like this idea being drilled into my head that nothing is my fault. And I don't know if I've let the gravity of that quite hit me yet. You know, I think of the scene from Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams and Matt Damon when he's in therapy. Sorry, my nose. She's running. And Robin Williams says to Will, it's not your fault. And he finally breaks down. It was like that. But it was more light and relieving and freeing. I suppose that's why Will broke down, because he felt liberated from that pain of feeling like everything was his fault. So I want to sit with that today, the next few days. You know, it's easy. The tendency, I think, can be, at least in my experience, it has been for me, in doing self-work and in taking radical responsibility for our lives, you know, looking at each experience and tracing it back to how did I contribute to this? How can I frame this? How can I be responsible for this? It's a thin line over from that taking radical responsibility into blaming ourselves, blaming myself. I'll speak from my experience. Although I have had friends and acquaintances tell me they've had some similar experience, so I'm no doubt that I'm alone in this. This self-flagellation. So what a powerful perspective to think I'm responsible and I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not at fault. I'm not to blame. being compassionate with myself. And also, there's something that I think we do in childhood, especially, where, you know, we are the center of our own universe, which continues well into adulthood for most of us, myself included, where we think things that couldn't possibly be our fault are our fault. Like, on some very deep level, when my parents got divorced, my mom left, I thought it was my fault. And when my dad was really sad afterwards, you know, sad and depressed and drinking, I thought it was my fault. I couldn't make him feel better. Into adulthood, as romantic relationships would end, I'd look at, how was it my fault? How did I ruin this? And that takes a, I think, really self-centered view on things, and doesn't take into account, you know, the dance that we're with everyone, the unity that my video app just turned off. So I'm gonna pick back up somehow. I remember I was talking about, you know, the self-centeredness that can make us forget our unity with all things. That feeling of separateness. If we can take on that we're one with all things, and when something doesn't go the way we'd like it to go, or it goes the way we want to go, if we can, I think a cool perspective to try would be that this happened not because I did anything wrong or did anything right. Did anything right is an interesting one to sit in. It's a more fatalistic or destiny driven view, I believe. And so then, where does free will come in? This has gotten into a challenging conversation, because free will is interesting to me. Because so much, the vast majority, like 99.9% of our behavior, I believe, is driven by subconscious, ancient patterning that we're trying to wield with, like it needs wielding. I think just the gentle hand of our will, every now and again, can't hurt, right? I don't even know what I'm saying. The drilling continues. I think the will comes into play. Our experiences are going to happen. You know, the content of our lives is going to happen. Where we can exert will, have a hand is in how we relate to that content, how we relate to the events in our life, including how we relate to our relating. Can we accept ourselves when we feel reactive? When we feel at fault? Can we accept that? Is that okay? Can we show compassion? As a friend of mine says, can we not fear our fear or shame our shame? It's not your fault. And you're responsible. When we point responsibility to someone else, it takes us off the hook and takes up a lot of energy because we're often blaming. We, maybe, I'm just speaking from my experience. That other person's at fault. And if we are finding fault within ourselves, that's what turns into shame. Emotions are so interesting. I could think and talk about them all day. It's not my fault. I'm gonna marinate in that for a little while. Thank you for being here and listening to my noodlings and the saws in the background. It's gonna be a beautiful deck. I'll just show you a picture of it when it's done, hopefully today. All right, I love you.